everyone, Emily and Tobias here, and we are here with another episode of Fortean Photography. This is actually the first episode we are making exclusive to Patreon members.
Yeah, and we're really excited about it, not just because of the exclusivity for society members, and not just because we're excited to talk to you about it, which we are, but because of the subject matter today, which is the Pilsen photograph. So, if you don't mind, I'll just jump right into a little background.
This is kind of your thing, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, if you're not familiar with the Pilsen photographs, they actually are stills taken from a video shot by a witness on May 9th, 2018. So, basically what happened was this witness, who we worked with directly, I spoke to him pretty extensively. He provided us with a lot of documentation, and we'll get into that, of course. But this witness was bicycling to work one afternoon. It was Wednesday, May 9th, 2018, in Chicago's Pilsen neighborhood. And as he was bicycling, he noticed some people standing on the street corner. It was a gentleman and a woman, and the gentleman was pointing at something in the sky. And so he looks up and he sees this, what he initially described as a Batman. He later amended that in subsequent conversations to say that he thought it looked more like somebody in a wingsuit. And so he sees this thing, and luckily he has a GoPro video camera attached to his bicycle helmet. And so he decides he's going to try to follow it around a little bit and get some video footage, which is fantastic, of course. And he does. And, as soon as he gets home from work, he, hits the Google machine, and he actually found Lon over at Phantoms and Monsters first. Lon spoke to him, and then he referred him to us, which was pretty standard, actually, for that, for most of the duration of the Lake Michigan Mothman investigation, even today. Lon will often refer people to us because we are so much closer to Chicago than he is. But anyway, so Lon spoke to him first, and then he referred the witness to us, and at that point I spoke to him. And, I will tell you, after speaking to this man, he was sincere. He absolutely relayed his authentic experience to us. Like, at no point did I think he was embellishing his story or being fraudulent in any way. This is his experience as he had it. And so anyway, I got to talking to him, and he offered to send us the actual video. He sent it to us first on Google Drive, but it was a little compressed, and so we weren't able to get what we wanted out of it right away. And so we offered to send us the actual SD card of his GoPro, which was pretty cool. But he didn't package it up super well, unfortunately, and it was damaged during shipping. And so rather than have him send the backup and risk having the only other pure copy of this video, lost forever, we talked to him a little bit, and it was decided that he was just going to go, because there was only a small portion of this video that actually had the winged being on it at all. And so it was decided that he was going to go through, and he was just going to get a bunch of stills on his end, and he could just send those over to us. And he did. And, those Emily was able to put into Photoshop and blew them up. And, it was pretty immediately obvious that what was in this video and in these still images was a bird.
Yeah, and I would say, when you're analyzing photographs like these, a good quick method is to try to debunk it first, as we've talked about in previous episodes. And I personally have never seen a great blue heron in flight, so without understanding what that is, I could see how people who are not familiar to seeing that would assume that it could be a man in a suit, especially because the bird has really long legs Its head's tucked back as it's flying, but after you had done some research, you figured out what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I likely think that it was a great blue heron, but we can't really know for sure. There's just a good amount of circumstantial evidence that would lead me to believe that, honestly, there are 2 species of heron that could be responsible for any of the Lake Michigan Mothman sightings. And before I continue, I always like to add that in no way do I think every single sighting can be explained by misidentified large birds. I think that there is a profile that the misidentification sightings fit. And that profile is they occur during the day. The witness sees the creature from very far away, always in flight, and there is none of the sort of supernatural fear or terror that the other witnesses describe. And so this fit that perfectly. And anyway, the circumstantial evidence is, there are these 2 species of heron in Chicago in pretty good numbers. There are the black-crowned night heron and the great blue heron. The black-crowned night heron is slightly smaller than the great blue heron, but and this is measurable. The number of black-crowned night herons roosting in Lincoln Park, which is in the middle of the city. I mean, it's Lincoln Park, roosting right there, jumped from 24 mated pairs to 300 mated pairs between 2009 and 2016. And then suddenly in the spring of 2017, we're getting a ton of these, ostensibly flying humanoid sightings. And, because of the destruction of wetland habitats and different factors like climate change affecting the migratory habits of these birds, we are seeing more great blue herons. We are seeing more of these black-crowned night herons. That's simply a fact. And so I think that if you look at the huge boom of 2017 sightings, by my estimation, probably half of those are misidentified large migratory birds.
And I think when you're dealing with an investigation that's ongoing and large such as this, to have one good example of a witness take these pictures for you, and you're able to kind of have a profile to go off of. And it makes it a lot easier to work through other images that might come in during an investigation through even the years, as you're still getting sightings in 2019.
Oh yeah, I mean that's absolutely true. So, and honestly, the Pilsen Photographs really sort of built off what was started with some photos taken by investigator Vance Nesbitt in St. Charles in March of that year, actually. And so Vance had taken some photographs while he was outside of work after he had spotted what he described as a incredibly large bird, uncannily large. And he got some good pictures of it, and it's pretty far away, and it's backlit by the sun and everything. So very similar to the Pilsen witness, but what's important about Vance's photos is he was sure they were of some kind of huge bird. And so, I trust Vance. He's worked in the aeronautics industry for over a decade. I know him personally. He's been an investigator for a long time. And so having somebody with that kind of credibility coming and saying, hey, look, I took these pictures and they're weird because this thing is way bigger than any bird should be, but it was still definitely a bird. And then having those pictures to compare to the Pilsen photographs to be able to say, okay, well, we can match these silhouettes. And this was a bird. And so this silhouette, it looks like Vance's silhouettes more or less. And so it's likely some kind of bird also. And then, we were able to compare it to to photos of great blue herons and things in flight. And, it bears a striking resemblance. Again, I can't say that it is some kind of heron because Vance's photos specifically sort of open the door to, you know, a more cryptid explanation for some of the large bird sightings. You know, like if you want to start, you know, throwing the word thunderbird around, you know, Vance's bird was pretty close to that. So, you know, and Vance was real sure that what he saw wasn't any easily identifiable species of indigenous bird native to Illinois.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting, and just like Emily had mentioned too, I really can't overstate the importance of the Pilsen photographs and the and Vance's photographs in helping us sort of build a profile for some of these sightings. So, you know, that profile that I had mentioned earlier of the daytime sightings seen from far away with the creature in flight and none of the supernatural fear or terror that other people report, you know, I was able to really sort of lock in on that because of this Pilsen sighting case, you know, because it did fit those so well, and we had been getting them for some time, but until Pilsen, I never had any real strong concrete evidence that somebody could be describing something authentically, again, describing something authentic to their experience as, you know, somebody in a wingsuit or a man-bat or a Mothman or a flying humanoid or whatever that is, in fact, some kind of large bird.
So let us know what you think about these photographs and if you're familiar with any bird sightings and such. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
We're here with another episode.
Just start over. Just wait and reset.
Okay. Hi everyone and welcome to... Hey everyone, Emily and Tobias here.